The Flames are planning something big. New contract projections have come out for all of the Flames' current free agents, and the Flames are planning something big with them, but are more so planning something massive with Rasmus Andersson, as his next contract's value has been revealed. We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. Now let's hop in and talk about these contract projections that I was talking about in the intro here. Maybe that's the big plan that's being brewed right about now. And honestly, we know Conroy is already on top of it. He signed Matt Coronato already. I'm sure he's talking to some of the other RFAs like Klapka, like Zary, and so on and so forth. But there's also loads of talk around Rasmus Andersson and some of the other guys that will hit unrestricted free agency by July 1st that maybe the Flames do want to keep around. Now, where did this all stem from? Well, it comes from David Pagnotta. And, I mean, the tweet here, Yegor Sharangovich replaced Breadman, says take it with a grain of salt because Pagnotta, maybe not the most reliable reporter, but he's still an insider. So David Pagnotta says a possible Rasmus Andersson extension could be between $7 to $8 million a year, depending on term, although it could be more. If they can't come to an agreement, Rasmus's name will be heard in trade talks come draft time, which is, about a month and a half away kind of thing. So, extremely interesting overall. 7 to 8 mil a year. Again, it depends on the term. If it's a shorter term, you probably expect more money out of it. If it's a longer term, maybe a little bit less on the AAV. But that's an expensive one. And it depends kind of what the Flames want to do, what their plans are for the future, and if Rasmus is part of that. It's being reported all the time that both sides want to sign an extension. It'll just come down to the money. A lot of people would argue maybe it's better for the Flames to trade Andersson. It kind of doesn't really fit our window and where he is. We'll have a lot of other good young right-handed defensemen coming up. So it's interesting overall, but a 7 to 8 mil a year, it's a big extension, especially when we eventually are going to have to pay some of our young guys like a Zane Parekh. Wolfie's going to get a huge contract, you would assume. So overall, it's interesting. Let me know what you think of this contract projection being reported by Pagnotta. Now, we can take it even a step further and talk about those UFAs that I was talking about earlier. This comes from an article, I believe, from the Daily Hive, and so it goes over each one. So Dan Vladar, I'd say that's kind of the biggest of the upcoming UFAs for the Flames. So the AFP projection is 1.46 mil for just 1 year. Now, this is a significantly lower contract than he had previously, which I believe was 2.2 mil. I could be wrong about that, but 1.46 to stay in Calgary wouldn't be too bad. And this is the projection no matter where he goes. This is if he hits, when he hits free agency, essentially. So 1.46 could be any team. Would he take a discount to join the Flames? Maybe. Would the Flames offer a discount even? I'm not too sure. Why would Vladar want to take that? He's going to try and get what he's worth. But Dan Vladar's future remains to be seen. It sounds like the Flames are willing to bring him back to continue serving as Dustin Wolf's backup, though the 27-year-old may prefer to test the open market in hopes of finding a more prominent role. I'm not too sure where that would be. It seems like most teams have their goalies kind of set. I know with all the new coaching, what happens in the draft, what happens in free agency, there could be some goalie openings available, but it'll be interesting to see overall. But 1.46, easily manageable for the Flames. They can afford that, fits in the cap 100%. I would love to see the Flames bring back Vladar and let some of the other guys sit in the A for a little bit longer to develop. Now, next one here is Joel Hanley. So Joel Hanley has earned a raise. The AFP projection here, 1.16 for 2 years. So that's obviously essentially a 2.32 contract in total, but 1.16 mil per year for 2 years. So after being healthy scratch in the vast majority of games through the first few months of the 2024-25 season, Hanley wound up proving to be a very valuable top four defenseman for the Flames. The 33-year-old suited up for a career-high 53 games, scoring 2 goals and 9 points while averaging over 18 minutes in ice time. He was excellent. Mr. Nacho himself was great with MacKenzie Weegar. It almost became our shutdown pair towards the end of the season, which is kind of ridiculous. Most Flames fans would agree that based on his performance this past season, AFP is undervaluing him. I agree. Should he fail to command anything more on the open market, there is real reason to bring him back, but his impressive showing could see him earn a deal north of $2 million elsewhere. And I 100% agree that age is the biggest factor here, but some sort of contender could want to pick him up, kind of like how Dallas used to use him in a way. So it could be interesting overall. Again, I'd love to bring Hanley back, but the way our decor is kind of shaped, you don't want to put too much money into it for the future, so a 2-year contract makes sense here. While guys like Parekh are still on their ELC, would love to see Hanley back in the red sweater. Now, Kirkland has earned his stripes, the fan favorite. So the AFP projection is essentially, the league min, so $775K for just 1 year. A torn ACL ruined what was one of the NHL's best feel-good stories in Justin Kirkland. The 28-year-old was finally beginning to carve out an everyday NHL role after plenty of adversity, fitting in well on the Flames' fourth line. Through 21 games he played, he scored 2 goals and 8 points, and he was incredible in the shootout as well. So he's definitely earned another NHL contract. It'll totally depend on how his rehab goes. Hopefully he'd be able to go, but I would be surprised if the Flames don't offer him that kind of contract. And even if the Flames don't, I'm sure he'll get one elsewhere, as he was kind of NHL-wide news for a little bit there, not just here in the Sea of Red. So definitely would love to bring back Mr. Costco. Next, Anthony Mantha needs to prove himself again. So the AFP projection for Anthony Mantha is the same as Kirkland, $775K for just 1 year. You do have to feel for Anthony Mantha, who signed a 1-year prove-it deal with the Flames in hopes of having a big season and striking a bigger contract this offseason. Instead, he was limited to just 13 games due to an ACL tear in November. So he's kind of back at square one where he was last July when he signed with the Flames. So again, another small contract. I would imagine he'd maybe try and get a little bit more closer to that $1 million. I know he was injured all year, but he has proven in the past that he can be a productive player in this league. So I would assume he goes for a little bit more money, and honestly, I could kind of see him signing anywhere. It's not like he was expected to sign with Calgary last year, so who knows? Maybe he'll sign with the Mammoth now that they have a team name. We'll just have to wait and see, but again, I would have no problem bringing Mantha in as long as it doesn't take, a roster spot away from someone else. But this is the first one that I'm really able to kind of let go. I mean, all these guys, I'd be totally fine if they want money elsewhere. It's just good to kind of bring them back. But again, there's the whole roster spot debate and everything. So Mantha, I think he deserves a bigger contract than that elsewhere, but probably not too much higher. Now, the last one is Kevin Rooney, the one Flames fans love the most. So Roondog could struggle to find NHL work, which is harsh but true. So the AFP projection, exact same as the last two, that $775K for just 1 year. Despite plenty of the fan base thinking otherwise, head coach Ryan Huska seemed to find Kevin Rooney valuable as a fourth-line center this past season. The 31-year-old doesn't bring many intangibles, however, and doesn't chip in much with secondary scoring. Again, harsh, but kind of true. I think this is definitely a take or leave it kind of thing. There are other players like Rooney. I really like Kevin Rooney. I thought he was great for the Flames during that last month or two of the season during the playoff push. He really seemed to come into his own, played well on that fourth line and did a good job. But again, if he can find a contract, I would go for it. The Flames might be the ones to send that his way. But again, would he be taking up a roster spot that we might want for some of these other guys, especially, once the team's all healthy and everything? So again, another one, it could work, it could not work. We'll just have to wait and see. And I did also just quickly want to show our current cap space. So projected cap space / current cap space right now is 17.8 mil, a little bit over that. So the Flames obviously have a lot of cap space here. The floor is 65 mil, so that won't be a problem at all. The limit is 88 mil as of right now, so the Flames have loads of space to obviously add some more contracts. We do have 2 of 3 retained remaining. I believe the only player whose contract we're still paying is Jacob Markstrom. Again, feel free to fact check me in the comments for that one, but I believe that's the only one that we're paying. We might be paying more. I mean, this one here saying that we still have 2 of 3, that would indicate we're only paying 1, I would assume. But otherwise, cap space, really not a problem right now. But that being said, you don't want to be shelling out huge contracts and then get yourself in cap hell later. So that's kind of the contract situation. I know the flans. We're a bunch of cakes. I know the Flames are planning something big here, and Conroy knows what he's doing, so love to see what he's going to do with these contracts this summer. Now let's quickly get into some Iggy news, and I know you're thinking, what the heck could we possibly be talking about? Are you talking about Iggy Azalea? No! The NHL actually announced their first players for the quarter century team, so 2000 to 2025, and Jerome McGinley was one of the first 6 on that list, as he should be, easily one of the best in the first 25 years of this century. But as you can see there, the others nominated along with him, other forwards, Teemu Selanne, Joe Thornton, and Joe Sakic, a couple Joes there. And then on the back end, Mr. Norris himself, Nicholas Lidstrom, and the shutdown D-man, Zdeno Chara. Wonderful group of players there, all very deserving, but obviously Iggy deserves it so well. This is what the Flames posted. Look at all those eras of Iggy. In the Blasty jersey, looking so young. Looking even younger in the red pedestal jersey. That's Jerome. And then obviously in his captain phases at the bottom there, looking so good in both the red and the white. What a player he was for the Flames. Obviously the franchise leader in points, in goals, in games played, multi-point games, multi-goal games, and 20-goal seasons. He just leads the Flames in all those categories. I mean, personally, I didn't get to see the teams of the 80s, but easily the best Flame I've got to see in my life. So a big congratulations to Jerome, and so glad he's still part of the organization. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, as we love to do here on the channel. This was a great one from yesterday's video. A very realistic way to look at it. It comes from Nor. Nor said, Hanzik made the team as a 19-year-old, so the potential is huge with this guy. I know a lot of people wrote him off as a middle six winger because of his average season in the AHL. Really wasn't that stunning this past year. I give him some leeway with all of his injuries, so true. But a guy who makes the NHL at 19 has a higher ceiling, especially with his size and speed. Keep the content coming. Thank you so much. But yes, it's true. Hanzik, people got to give this guy a chance still, whether it's at center or as a forward, but he's going to have a great chance to showcase his stuff at the Worlds and hopefully make the team out of training camp once again next year. It'll be very exciting to watch him. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe like you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.